with the communications director of Colorado Rising Action. Lindsey Sengenberger joins us here on Business for Breakfast. Good morning, Lindsey. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on. We were up kind of late watching, hoping George Brockler could squeak through on that Attorney General's race, but it would take a miracle, but, fingers crossed.
Anything can happen, of course. You never know. And I should have noted as well, Mike Kaufman, of course, losing, which is so unfortunate. But we will see what happens in that regard. But I think that there is some reason to be encouraged. And let's start with Amendment 73 here, the so-called education tax increase. It's more than that. I've been sounding the alarm about this in terms of the progressive income tax structure and what that would do to the state long term and open up a Pandora's box. But it really does seem like people in this state of Colorado aren't too apt for at least statewide tax increases.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you. And Amendment 73, it was the education tax increase, and you've been talking about it for a while. We came out early against it, raising the alarm about that as well, because everyone agrees that education funding needs to be fixed and teachers need to be paid more. We need to pay attention to this education our students are getting, but this tax increase was not the way to go. But what we did see last night, so Amendment 73 went down it got about 55% saying no. So that was about 11% difference. But what we did see were some local mill levies being passed, and that's really the way to fund education, right, is on the local communities deciding that their school boards are handling choosing to give them more money. But what we really saw, just a general point I'll make, is a win for Tabor. And I think we can all be very thankful for Tabor, our taxpayer Bill of Rights this morning.
Well, and this is going to be the interesting thing in this next legislative session is there are a lot of Democrats, Polis included, the next governor, who have indicated that they would love to put Tabor on the chopping block, but that would require a constitutional amendment to really do it fully, although they've taken some steps at diminishing Tabor through fees and redefining fees and so forth. But still, it does seem like the people of Colorado may not go for something like that.
That is a scary thought. I guess what we see from the way these ballot issues went is that conservatives are low tax, free market principles really do create more opportunities for Coloradans, and that's what Coloradans were saying when on these ballot issues. We need to do a better job of promoting these principles and talking about the opportunities they create, and really watching these new elected officials closely and holding them accountable. And if it does come down to a vote, we need to really prove to them that we don't want to get rid of Tabor. We enjoy Tabor. It saved our state multiple times, and back off.
Well, and here's the thing is I really think that there's a strong measure of support for the taxpayers' Bill of Rights here in this state, as demonstrated by the fact that whether it's Amendment 73 or we can also talk about Proposition 110, when it comes to these statewide ballot issues, the people voted no, and that shows that they care about having a voice, I think, on taxes.
Absolutely. Care about having a voice on taxes, care about keeping the government small. So those are the things we need to talk about and do our best as conservatives in this state to hold our new liberal elected officials accountable.
So let's look at the roads and bridges efforts. Proposition 109, Fix Our Damn Roads, went down, and actually by a slightly larger margin, I think, than Proposition 110, the tax increase. But even then, we still saw the tax increase go down. It's kind of perplexing that folks wouldn't really want to do much for the roads, although maybe it was they don't want to add debt, which is more of a conservative idea anyway, I guess. And maybe they have that initial reaction, let's not add debt, and obviously let's not increase taxes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the strong message here with both of these going down is that the legislature needs to pick this up and immediately, in January, make it a priority, because road funding, Coloradans have said it is a priority, but obviously don't want to raise the sales tax to do it, and don't want to bond to do it. So if there's one strong message with both of those going down, it's legislature, get your act together and look at how we're going to actually fix our roads. using our 30 billion, state budget. If we're using that effectively and prioritizing what we say are the priorities, when you look at your household budget, you decide to pay your mortgage or your rent first, or, you buy groceries first before you decide to go on vacation, or, buy those extra things. So that's what the state legislature needs to do, and that's the strong message from voters.
Talking with Lindsey Singer, Communications Director for Colorado Rising Action, here on the show. The other ballot effort that went down big time in this state that I think was so crucial, and there are others, of course, that were of importance in the discussion, but was Proposition 112, which would have absolutely gutted one of the most significant industries in the state of Colorado, which is oil and gas production. Let's set aside for just a moment, we'll get to it in a moment, the possibilities here with Polis as governor, Phil Weiser as attorney general, and Democrats in control of both houses of the state legislature and what they might do, and just focus on Proposition 112 for a moment. Why do you think that went down, and by what margin did it lose?
It lost by about 9%. It went down. It was 56%, a little more than that. So against it. So I think that it went down because Coloradans could see the huge economic impact that it was going to have. It was really like a thinly veiled attempt to kill affordable energy production in Colorado, and it was just too extreme. We will have to watch out to see what the governor does and really pay close attention to that. But I think what that says to Coloradans is that this industry matters. They provide billions of dollars a year to local education and state our state economy. So that's important to us. And if Colorado already has one of the strongest oil and gas regulations in the country, and that's through our state legislation. So we need to keep that strong, to keep our environmental protections, but we really need to look at the good things that the oil and gas industry does in Colorado, and that's what voters are saying.
However, of course, as we've alluded to, you've got Polis as governor, and it looks likely that Phil Weiser will squeak out the victory for attorney general in the state, and you've got the Democratic legislature and all these things that line up against the oil and gas industry in ways that maybe don't go as far as 112, but the question is, will they make real headway at trying to allow a lot more local control in certain areas? Will they make a lot more headway at increasing regulation significantly? And to what extent will they take these steps to the point where maybe they overplay their hand and it comes back to bite them in 2020?
What extent will the oil and gas industry?
Going after oil and gas, yes.
Yeah. Well, I think that they have overplayed their hand in Proposition 112. And the oil and gas industry and local groups have done a good job of getting out the message of how Proposition 112 would have hurt the economy. And so I think they need to continue doing that, pushing back on this overreach from the politicians. And hopefully we can manage that.
And what do you think is going to be required, though, in order to stop the oil and gas industry, which is, again, so crucial in the state, Lindsey Singer, from being gutted by the legislature in many ways to try to make up for this? I mean, Polis liked a 2,000-foot setback. I mean, I know there may be need for having the people vote on something like that, but they could do things similar in the legislature.
Yeah, I would say for conservatives around Colorado to write your legislators, it does matter what their constituents are saying. We need to be outspoken and public about, what Jared Polis promised sort of during his campaign. He kind of went back and forth a lot over his career on oil and gas, but we need to hold him accountable to what he said during his campaign. And, that he said he cares about Colorado's economy. So let's be loud and outspoken about holding him accountable to that. And with Phil Weiser, he's going to be challenging a lot of the federal laws, And, sometimes what the things that attorney generals do kind of don't get as much public attention, but it's extremely important what he's going to do. And we're at Colorado Rising Action, we are going to keep following him and bringing what he does out of the shadows, I guess, and encourage everyone to really pay attention to that.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. It certainly is going to be something to watch for sure. Lindsey Singer, just a couple minutes left here, and I wonder what you think of the overall political dynamics here. I mean, we had this Democrat sweep in so many different aspects of the state, yet at the same time, you have these ballot initiatives going down by reasonably large margins that could say an indication as to where Coloradans are thinking about policy.
Yeah, so I think what Coloradans are saying is that the conservative principles are popular. Low taxes, supporting the free market, keeping our government small. Those are all popular ideas, and we need to communicate how those ideas and principles create more opportunities for Coloradans in the long term. We're looking out 20 years, 10 years, 20 years at how we're creating more jobs and keeping Colorado at the top. We're at the top economically in the nation, and we need to stay there, want to stay close to there. So I think the discrepancy you see between the way that we voted for the elected offices and the way that we voted on these ballot issues is really that, the principles are there, and we need to communicate these principles in a positive way to voters and get more voters out to the polls because really, conservative principles do create more opportunities for Coloradans in the long term.
Yeah, it certainly is. There's going to be a lot about this that we'll be watching closely on this program, and that everybody's going to have to be speaking up about and re-strategizing, both messaging, but also how to do the ground game, how to do things from the standpoint of candidates and also the political party, the Republican Party in the state as well. That, of course, we have these candidates who are standard bearers of the party who were unsuccessful. Final thought for us this morning, Lindsey Singer.
I would just say that the economy is doing well right now. Republicans are in control of the economy, and so let's talk about that. Let's talk about our national unemployment rate. Let's talk about how the Republican tax break and how that's benefiting our economy, and keep it positive. I know it's hard the morning after to do that, but looking forward, we have Cory Gardner is going to be coming up in a couple of years, and he's a great leader, and all of the liberal attention is going to be directed at him, and so he's going to need us to be there for him.
All right, Lindsey Singer is Communications Director for Colorado Rising Action. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thanks.